This is a picture of Dunn's River Falls in Ocho Rios, Jamaica. It's a 180-meter long, beautiful, cascading waterfall. If you come here really early in the morning, you will be lucky to see this waterfall in its perfect natural state, which is like this. It's a challenging, but really rewarding and amazingly beautiful walk up to the top. Now picture yourself at the bottom of this waterfall and think about how would you climb up this waterfall. Would you keep your eye to the top and go straight up in a straight line? Or would you go to the left and to the right and try to discover the various lagoons and other hidden things that might be waiting there for you? Think about it for a second. Now, you're really lucky if you get here early in the morning, because if you come a couple of hours later after the tourist buses arrived, you will see this. Now, you might not have thought that you will climb up the waterfall like this, right? When I came here, unfortunately, not early in the morning, I couldn't believe my eyes. Why were all those people going exactly the same line? And why were they holding each other's hands and taking these very small baby steps? Right? The reason is because their guides told them that this is the line to follow, and because they had no experience, this is the line they took because it was the safest way. Now, even all those people suggested that this is the line to follow, I decided to see the waterfall my own way, and I didn't buy the $10 rubber shoes that the guides suggested everybody should rent, and I took the seemingly more riskier and unpredictable route up the waterfall. Now, was it frightening at first? Yes, absolutely. But when I arrived at the top, I realized I had seen so much more. I saw these giant butterflies, which were afraid to, fly where the people were. I saw beautiful animals, and I had these beautiful sights, and I saw all these different lagoons. So why am I telling you this story? I'm not trying to convince you to travel to Jamaica, though. If you go to Jamaica, you have to make sure you see my friend Captain Crazy. He's the tour guide. He's the tour guide of the Bob Marley Museum and the funniest person I ever met in my whole life. I'm sharing the story with you because it is up to every single one of you how you walk up the waterfall, right? It's up to you, and everybody can choose if you take an exciting or a little bit riskier path, and it's only limited by your own imagination. So I never stopped seeing the waterfall in my own way, and this is probably why I ended up here today speaking to you, and also why I ended up here. This is my office. It's a Land Rover Defender from 1997, and my company has an address in Germany, but this is the real address of my company, right? So the last 6 months, we were traveling through whole South America. We started in Uruguay, went through Argentina, went to Chile, then to Peru, to Ecuador, and after driving 12,000 kilometers, we finally came here to Colombia, Bogota, presente. We had many stops that we didn't want, many more than we wanted to admit. Got stuck in the mud a couple of times, on the desert somewhere in Peru. We slept at beaches and petrol stations. They have great Wi-Fi at petrol stations. And all that while managing our customers, which are spread all across the globe. Now, let me tell you how I got here. As Steve Jobs once said, I want to tell you 3 stories of my life. Just 3 stories, no big deal. The first story is about connecting the dots. That's what Steve Jobs said. My first story is about a fish. About salmon, to be precise. Free salmon, actually. It all started in Berlin in 2006. I was studying computer science at that time, and I had no idea what to do and how to make a living with anything that I learned at university. But I had a friend with a really strange hobby. His hobby was to use an old fake press ID card to sneak into expensive conferences, to meet people, but let's be honest, to eat free food. So one day he calls me and he's like, hey, Fabian, you need to come to the Ruby on Rails conference. It's in the Hilton Hotel in Berlin. And I was like, Ruby on what? And it was a new programming language back in 2006, But free food sounded good. So an hour later, I was standing at the Ruby on Rails conference, putting all this free salmon on my plate. And next to me, there was a recruiter, like a headhunter, who paid $1,000 to be at this conference. And he asked me if I wanted to have a job working with Ruby on Rails. So I pretended that I knew some of Ruby on Rails, and he accepted the job. So from that moment on, I worked 2 days a week while studying in various internet startups, and all because of this free fish. Fast forward to 2010. I'm walking out of the office 5 p.m. in the afternoon from one of those jobs, which I got because of the fish, and I see this long-haired traveler sitting on the street, and he was playing a backpacker guitar, which was exactly the guitar that I wanted to buy at that time. Now, I went up to him and asked him if I could try his guitar, and he said yes. So I sat down next to him, and he told me this amazing story. His name was Javier from Barcelona. So Javier had a successful painting business, painting houses and stuff, in Barcelona, but he decided to give everything up and buy an old Mercedes and drive all the way from Spain, 8,000 kilometers to Mali. Now, when he ended up in Mali, he sold the Mercedes for 2 times the price that he bought it for. And realizing the potential, he did the whole thing again. He went back to Barcelona and then went to Gambia and sold the Mercedes for double the price. And he did that 4 times in total and spent 4 years traveling through Africa. And I was like, isn't traveling in a car through Africa dangerous? And he said, no, not at all. And in half an hour, he taught me everything I needed to know and took away all my fear. Now, guess what I did? I bought the backpacker guitar, I bought an old Mercedes, and I went traveling from Germany, I'm German by the way, to the Democratic Republic of Congo, which was like, 18,000 kilometers, I guess. Now, here's a quiz for everyone. What is the #1 killer or the cause of death in this century, a part of old age? Anybody wants to guess? It's a disease.
Malaria.
Exactly. These are my blood test results, and it says I had malaria. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my whole life. Let me tell you why. So I was in Congo having malaria, and I was in bed with high fever and hallucinating, but I was super fortunate. I had Wi-Fi. So I tried to not get completely crazy, and I just Googled random things on the internet, and I put in the coolest job of the world, internet. That's what I searched. And a job offer from a company in San Francisco appeared, right? And they had an online application form. I left it completely blank. I put only my name, my first name, Fabian, and the phone number in Congo. I was quite surprised when the next day, still pretty sick, I got a call from this company, and they asked me, why did you apply for this job? And I had no idea what this job was. I wasn't looking for a job. So I went super quickly to the webpage, and I freestyled the whole interview. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in London for a personal interview, and 5 weeks later, I had the job. I was an employee. So I was based in London, and I flew all around Europe every week a flight. I had like 100 flights in a year and a half. And I was working 80 hours a week, and I loved it because I was traveling through Africa such a long time that I was so happy to be productive again and cross all these things from the to-do list. Now, at that time, a dear friend of mine was losing his mind. He worked so much and was under so much stress that his body gave him a sign to stop. And he had a tinnitus, which is a ringing in your ear. You always hear the sound, and he was crazy. He was near to suicide. So he was desperate. I suggested he should do something completely different, which is going to the Amazon rainforest. And then the conversation was like, Amazon rainforest, huh? Will you bring me there? And, I don't speak Spanish. Will you translate for me? And I was like, well, will you pay my flight? And he said, yes. So a couple of weeks later, we were in the Amazon rainforest in Peru, seeing the shamans and things. And while exactly at this spot, with all this rain pouring down, I was so thinking, like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to end up like this. I don't want to be stressed out and working 80 hours a week. I want my freedom back, and I want to travel. And so I went back to Europe. I quit my job, and with everything I learned, working like a crazy person, I created my own company. And then it went great. So I grew this company for a year. I had clients all over the planet. But something was missing. So 6 months later, I went to Argentina and bought my new office, this Land Rover Defender, and I met my new colleagues, which is Vin and Dominic. Now, the plan was to travel through South America and to manage a company from the road while we're, at coffee shops and co-working spaces and next to petrol stations using their Wi-Fi. And, more importantly, meeting other people on the way who found their own unique way of going up the waterfall. And I want to share 3 of the most inspiring stories from people that we met along the way. They're all women, for some reason. So, vivan las mujeres acá en Sudamérica. La primera es Valeria. She's a real rebel. Valeria, when she was 12, called in a family meeting and she said, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to school anymore. I'm not learning anything. I'm not motivated. My grades are really bad. And she presented this research about homeschooling. So her parents accepted. They gave her a trial year. And she made an awesome use of this 1 year studying at home. Self-motivated, she studied at home, web development, coding in various programming languages. She learned English perfectly, and photography and web design. Now, when she was 13, she had her first web page. It was a very girly pink web page, and she spread this web page in internet forums. Now, a supermodel from Los Angeles found her web page and said, "Hey, Valeria, can you make me one too?" She's from Lima, Peru, by the way. So Valeria, with 13, had her first client in the United States. And a couple of weeks later, she went to the bank and picked up $600 from the bank. She worked like this the last 10 years. Isn't that amazing? Like, all the information is available at your fingertips. If you have a computer and internet, you can learn anything. Harvard, Yale, MIT, they all put their classes online for free on the internet, right? Might be a funny idea if you have enough homework, but the opportunities are amazing. Meet Mirna. She's a psychologist from Uruguay. 10 years ago, she decided to go to Mallorca, the island in Spain. Her patients didn't like that. But Mirna had a revolutionary idea. She would use Skype to continue doing psychotherapy over the internet. Now, 10 years later, she's back in Uruguay. She has clients all over the world, from Singapore to Spain to Uruguay. Isn't that amazing? Work is no longer a place anymore. Your clients and your network travels with you if you want to. Isn't that a cool idea, to travel around the globe and work and make money on the way? This is Macarena, also from Montevideo, Uruguay. Macarena is a studied economist. She worked at a corporate bank for 7 years. But one day, she got up and thought, I'm not doing anything to change this world. So she quit her job, and Macarena's grandmother was like, why are you quitting your job at the corporate bank? You should stay there. It's a stable job. But she went to Europe and studied and was inspired, came back, and created what we think is the coolest co-working space in South America. At any given time at this place, there's people working on startups, on architectural projects, there's people working on 3D printers, or on drones, which later fly around in Uruguay to monitor the cows on the fields. Whenever you don't know something, you can just walk up to someone else and they will help you because he or she knows what you are looking for. It's an awesome space. Think about it. Would you quit your job at a corporate bank to go into the risky world of co-working space and startups? But because Macarena wanted to make a difference and created this cool environment for other people, she did it. Okay, let's take a step back. I have some really amazingly important lessons to share with you. First, never miss an opportunity for free food, especially if there's salmon. Second, if you ever see a guy with long hair on the street, then go and talk to him, especially if he has a backpacker guitar. 3, next time you have malaria, make sure you Google for jobs. Right? No, but seriously, 3 important lessons. Take chances and write your own story. The path of your career, of your life, is not set in stone, nor is it paved. There is no path at all. There's nothing wrong with following the other people going up the waterfall, and it might be a safe and risk-free way to reach the top. But don't think it's the only way. Think of yourself as designers and storytellers and script writers, and you can write your own story, right? So why not write a story that is aligned to your passions, and why not invent your own job description? The good news is, with this changing economy and with the power of technology, you have more power than ever to create your own adventure. Now, change how you think about work. A psychologist's office used to look like a couch, a library of books, and a notepad. For people like Mirna, it looks like a Skype logo in the computer in her living room. My office used to have 4 walls. Now it has 4 wheels. I'm not only part of a nomadic company, I'm part of a global company. My designer is in Chile, my coder is in Romania, and my tax consultant is in Germany. Right? And my clients are spread across the globe, while I'm hanging out with Captain Crazy in Jamaica. Now, just do it. If Macarena would have listened to her grandmother, she would probably now have to go to the Amazon because of some sickness. Or maybe she would just be stressed out. Instead, she built this awesome co-working space and has this rewarding experience every day of people being happy about where they work. And instead of wearing suit and tie, they come on rollerblades on a skateboard to work, right? If I would have seen not knowing Ruby on Rails as an obstacle instead of a challenge, I would not be standing here. They say fake it until you make it, right? So if you have a vision and the passion, then just go and do it. All right, enough of my stories. I want you to do something. If life is this journey up the waterfall, then think about it. Which path did you take until now? And which path do you imagine taking from now on? There's many paths to the top, right? But the decisions you make and the steps you take, they will come along with you every step on the journey. So may you all walk up and climb up this waterfall in your unique ways, as only you can do it. So, nos vemos ahí arriba en la cascada. Buen viaje, muchas gracias. Thank you.